Hi! Welcome back to the bookshelf. That can only mean one thing, and that's September's book review. Apologies for the scabby jumper and the hair and stuff. When I'm filming this it's very busy, so it's my only chance to do it, so I've kind of just shoved anything on and then just to get on with it. But you don't actually need to know that. I've actually read a lot this month, so there are 5 books for me to cover today, and the reason I've read a lot is because A, the books are shorter than normal, and B, schools have gone back so my bus journeys are longer basically. So let's get on with it. So the first book is 5 Feet Apart, and this is by a whole heap of people. So we've got Rachael, Lippincott, Mikki, Daughtry even, and Tobias, Iaconis. Basically it's by a bunch of people and I can't pronounce any of their names. This book is very much in the same styling of Fault in Our Stars or Everything. The main characters in this suffer from cystic fibrosis, so, and I didn't know this, they have to stay at least 6 feet apart from each other, otherwise things can start contaminating and then that can be really dangerous for them. But, so as I say, it's very much like those other books, it's just not quite as good. I think the main problem and the reason why it isn't quite as good as those other books is that the relationship isn't quite as believable between, and I can't remember the names, between Stella and Will. It takes a very long time for them to actually establish any kind of relationship, and then I don't know, it's just not quite as believable as, say, Grace Lancaster and what's his name? This is really annoying. Those people in Fault in Our Stars. And again, part of that is because it's kind of over before it starts. It takes a hell of a long time, like a good half a book, a good 100 pages for the book to get going and for the relationship to develop. And then it ends, basically. So I think they should have spent a lot more time developing the relationship and then doing the ending. Because by the end, actually, I did feel kind of invested in them, but not enough that I felt sad. Benefits of the book, 1, and I know you should never judge a book by its cover, but it is very pretty. Obviously, cystic fibrosis, people that suffer from cystic fibrosis have, I believe it's a lung thing, they struggle breathing, and their lung functionality decreases a lot. I think it's something to do with mucus and things. I'm not overly aware of cystic fibrosis. The book does give quite a good account, and there's something called bisepsia that I had no idea about, and that was very new to me, and basically that's bad if you have cystic fibrosis. If you get bisepsia, then you're kind of, there is no cure, you can't get any transplants or anything like that. That's how I gathered it from the book anyway. So they were good things. I did learn some stuff, and I like the fact that each chapter is from a different perspective. So one chapter will be from Stella's point of view and then the next from Will's, and I always like books like that. I like to find out everybody's point of view, so that helps with that. So yeah, overall it's a good read. It's just not quite up there with some of those other ones that it's trying to be like. The second book I read this month was Plex Being a Wallflower by Stephern Chbosky. I really like the film, and I have to admit I did it the wrong way round. I did watch the film a long time ago and then I've just read the book, and that is never the way to do it. Always read the book first. And I always try and do it that way because then I don't have any of the film people in my head. So I kept thinking of Emma Watson every time that the female character was in it. I'm really bad at thinking of people's names. Like the other book, I like that it was written in a different kind of style. It's written in letters. You never know who he's actually sending them to, whether it's a real person or not. I guess it's like a diary, but he actually sent all the letters to this random person. The only thing I thought about with this one is that obviously I have seen the film, and Charlie seems way more neurotic in the book than he is in the film. Like, way more. And that, I don't know, that was a bit of a shock to me, I guess. I mean, I always knew there was a bit of it in him, but not like that. Maybe I need to rewatch the film again now that I've read the book, so that I can see if I just didn't take that in as much, or whether they've just toned it down for the film. Don't know, but yeah, he seemed way more neurotic in the book. They also mentioned a song by the Smiths a lot called Asleep, and because it was mentioned so much in the book, and I can't remember if it was in the film, as I said, it's been a while since I've watched it, I had a listen to it, and actually the tone of the song and things like that so suit the book. No wonder they mentioned it so much. Definitely fits. I mean, I quite like the Smiths anyway, but there we go. I probably prefer the film to the book, if I'm honest. It was a bit disappointing, if I'm totally honest with you, but I'm glad I've read it. Definitely glad I've read it. The third book, so we're halfway through, is The Last Family in England by Matt Haig, and I absolutely loved this book. It's possibly one of the best books I have read this year. That's how much I enjoyed it. The book's main character, the main protagonist, and whose point of view it's all written from, is a Labrador called Prince. And the Labradors are sticking to something called the Labrador Pact, which is all about putting the family first and keeping an eye on the humans. And then the other dogs aren't really adhering to that anymore. And there's been something called the Springer Spaniel Uprising, where they've essentially told all the dogs that, no, don't bother looking after the humans, do what you want to do. If that pleases them, fine, but do what you want to do. And the Labradors aren't, that doesn't sit well with the Labradors. And that in itself is a brilliant concept to me. No wonder the Labradors are the ones sticking with the humans. They're all like the guide dogs and the hearing dogs and stuff like that. And obviously I thought of Jeff a lot while I was reading it, and he is definitely part of the Springer Uprising. He has moments where he will do things and you're like, why have you done that, other than for your own enjoyment? For example, today we went for a walk this morning, as we do every morning, and we were in the park and it was all going great, and then another dog and its owner came and she had treats and the dog was running around with Jeff. So Jeff basically left me. He obviously decided that he would get a better life with that woman, and I had to pretty much go to the opposite side of the park to collect him with a tennis ball, because that's the only way he would come back to me. So Jeff is definitely part of the Springer Uprising. Again, relating to Jeff, Prince in this, so the main Labrador, he fully understands everything that the humans are saying and their emotions and things like that. But obviously he plays along that he's a silly dog and he doesn't get them all the time. And that is a concept I can fully get on board with, because I'm sure Jeff understands me. There are times where I say things and he does exactly or knows exactly what to do. And so I'm convinced he knows more than he's letting on sometimes. And this book definitely agreed with my theory on that one. Again, because it's from the perspective of the dog, it has very short chapters and sentences and things. I like to think that's because of the attention span and the fact that they sleep a lot and things like that. But I thought that was quite clever, and a clever construct that Matt Haig has used. Again, just to highlight that this is all from a dog's perspective. And he also added brilliant turn of phrases, such as, "Oh, my dog." And there was a whole section about how some dogs are sniffaholics. So they have to sniff and they need to sniff, and if they don't sniff and things like that. Basically, like, you know, if you're addicted to something, but these dogs are addicted to sniffing, and it just made me laugh a lot. And I thought it was clever that because of this Springer Uprising and the fact that the dogs are no longer putting humans first, this is why society's going to pot, which again just made me smile a lot. it was just really cleverly written and really like properly thought through and things like that, and yeah, it was just very enjoyable. It also had a sort of thrillery aspect to it, which I won't give away. Like, you really wanted to know the stories behind certain characters or how things have happened and things like that. But it does have a sad ending, just FYI, if you're planning on reading it, which I fully recommend. It was a brilliant book, and as I say, possibly one of my favourites for the year. The next book I read was Some Kind of Wonderful by Giovanna Fletcher, and sorry that some of the paint on her name has come off. It's obviously had a bit of a problem in my bag. I like Giovanna's writing anyway. I've read a couple of her stuff. In fact, I've read a lot from all the family, I think. But this one felt a little bit close to home. I don't know if I picked it, because this I got for Christmas last year. I don't know if I picked it because it was close to home, but I was reading it and thought, I can relate a bit too much to this at the moment. It's about a lady. She's been dating this guy for 10 years, and they've gone to Dubai for a holiday, and she's convinced she's going to get engaged, and then they break up. And I'm not giving it away, it does say it on the back of the book, so no spoilers there. But how she explained some of her feelings about having waited 10 years and things like that, I could fully relate to. This might be a bit too much sharing, but yeah, fully understood that. Me and Pete have been together for a while. Part of the things that people were saying and the way she was feeling is that pressure to meet certain milestones, which I can understand, although I'm not really paying much attention to, which is good, I guess. But there is pressure to meet certain milestones at certain ages, and if you've been together for a certain amount of time and things like that. And it was really interesting to see how she'd written about that, because again, it's something I could relate to quite well. One of the main ideas in this is that you lose yourself within a relationship, and I found it interesting how that was portrayed and how it was written and how she thought about it. But that was a really interesting concept to explore. Giovanna is a patron for a breast cancer charity. I know this because I follow her on Instagram. I wouldn't know it otherwise. But she did manage to get a mention of them into the book, which I thought was incredibly clever and good advertising for the charity and things. Maybe naughty, but well done is what I say to that. Overall, I thought the book was good and I really enjoyed reading it, but it's a bit forgettable if you're not having those kind of feelings that I was, or nothing that you could relate to, I guess. It is a good book, but a bit forgettable, I think. There was no wow factor. There was nothing that stood out. There was nothing like Matt Haig that just made me smile so much or made me think about things or made me sad. It's very much one of those sit on a sun lounger books and then you forget. But weirdly, I really want a sequel, because there are certain things that happen to the character and I want to know what happens about it. So my brain is a bit conflicted, because on one hand I think it's forgettable, on the other hand I want a sequel. Take of that what you want. It's a good summer read. I know I read it in September. Sometimes you need those just chill out books, and I always find a bit of women's fiction or chick lit or whatever you want to call it is right up there for that kind of thing. And lastly, the last book, we made it. Well done if you've got this far. So the last book is Turtles All the Way Down by John Green. I've actually mentioned his book before, like at the beginning of this video. I love Fault in Our Stars. I think it's brilliant. I love the film, I love the book, and I've read all his other ones as well. Some of them I like less than the others. I really enjoyed Will Grayson, which he wrote with David I can't say that name. David Leviathan. I can't say his name. Sad times. So I was always going to give this one a go. This one sort of didn't quite hit the mark as some of the others have for me. And I don't know whether it's because I'd read Perks of a Wallflower this month and that character was neurotic, But why are there so many neurotic characters in books at the moment? Why? It's all just a bit samey. So again, the main character, Azza, or Holmesy, I'll probably call her because I can say that one properly, has issues. She has these things that she calls thought spirals, that she just gets caught on a thought and it just keeps going round and round and round and round and round, which I totally relate to. Sometimes that can happen to me, normally when I'm trying to fall asleep. But she doesn't really know any techniques to get out of it, I guess is the way forward. But I feel like John Green got so caught up in writing about her neuroses and those kind of thought spirals and things like that, that he sort of forgot about the main plot of the book, which was an investigation for a billionaire, and then obviously she knows the son, so that kind of thing. And that investigation was basically forgotten through most of the book, and that irritated me because that was the main thing about the blurb that I liked the sound of, was the sort of thrillery trying to solve the crime kind of thing, and that was kind of forgotten. But we were just left with her thought spirals, which again, as I said, I can relate to it sometimes and I get it, and it was interesting, but I wanted more of the investigation and less of her sort of Sheldon Cooper-esque things. That's the best way I can think to explain her or describe her, is she's a bit like Sheldon Cooper but without all the talking. She's very much internalises it all, whereas he says it all. But, and this might be a bit of a spoiler, so if you don't want to know about it, skip forward a little bit, I won't talk about it for very long. At the end she does come up with some sort of acceptance and ways of working, and I'm kind of glad that this is a massive spoiler, so if you haven't skipped this time, skip now. I'm glad that the two didn't end up together. So there's the whole plot line is that she and the billionaire's son are, you know, becoming an item. And I'm glad they didn't. I think it's healthier for both of them that they both work through their issues rather than get into a relationship. So yeah, I was a bit disappointed with John Green. As always, his writing's great. I always enjoy the way he puts a book together and things. I just was a bit disappointed this time, as I really wanted more on the investigation. Let me know what you've read, or if you've read these ones, what you thought of them, or if you've got any book recommendations, let me know. And I will see you next time. Bye!